What's going on, guys? JSkeleton with PREAMP for guys today. Coming at you some Kirby Star Allies gameplay for guys and my friends. It's a very long video. I know you might be a little bit thrown off at first with the length of the video, but we're going to be doing the ultimate choice in Kirby Star Allies on Soul Melter difficulty. It's going to be me and my son. I'm actually commentating this after the fact. It's not live gameplay. I'm not commentating it live to the gameplay, that is. I was going to do that, but I was afraid that we were going to fail. I'm not going to commentate the whole 20 minutes or whatever it is. It's pretty lengthy because basically you get taken through 13 bosses in the game. You get taken through all the bosses one by one, and you get very limited health. I don't know if you guys can see our health bars at the bottom there, but you get basically half the health you normally would, and very limited health resources. It's very difficult, but you know, that said, my son and I actually pulled it off on our second try, which was pretty incredible, to be honest. So, you know, our first try, we failed it. This is our second try, by the way. This gameplay, all this gameplay you guys are watching is a second try. So this is the full gameplay of, you know, start to finish, winning. You're not going to see any deaths or fails in this gameplay. But the reason I'm commentating is, first of all, obviously I want to introduce, you know, the gameplay. Second of all, I want to give you guys a few, you know, quick tips and tricks that we found, you know, worked best for us. Number one is actually playing with a friend if you guys can, because here's the thing. If you yourself, you know, if you run out of health while you're playing solo, while you're playing alone, you can't get revived. That's it, game over. But let's say I die. Let's say I run out of health and I die while I'm playing with someone. In this case, my son, Jameson, right? If I go down, he can actually revive me. He has like 5 seconds to revive me. So there's going to be different instances in this gameplay where you're going to see me revive him and him revive me at different times. And that actually helped a lot, a great deal, because if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have finished it. Now, if you guys can finish it solo, you guys deserve an extra reward for that, because that's a pretty crazy feat. You know, honestly, man, it's hard. It is very hard, and the fact that you have such limited health makes it really, really crazy and really intense. So, number one, again, if you guys can, playing with someone is ideal. If you can play with 3 people or 4 people, that's even better, because the computers are not the smartest, let's face it. Here's another thing that I found, you know, worked for me. I guess this could be a little bit personal preference, but I find that, you know, this selection of characters works very well. So for me, I like to use the sword ability, so the sword character, which if you're the first player, it's going to be Kirby with the sword ability. The reason for that is because I like to do the up B attack, which is like you slice up, and then when you get to the peak of it, you can down B attack, which is where you slam your sword back down. And you could also do a spin attack, and those are all very good abilities. Now, I like to have, as you guys see, that one of the computers is an ice character, one of the computers is a fire character. The reason for that is because those different abilities work differently against certain bosses, it seems like. So for fire, at the very beginning against Wispy Woods, well, it's not Wispy Woods, it's the other version of Wispy Woods, which I'm trying to blank out on the name, but fire against Wispy Woods destroys that boss in a split second. It's very, very fast. Now, I don't know for sure if it's just in my head, but I feel like fire also works very well against ice characters, and then ice works very well against water and fire characters, especially water characters. You're going to see actually a boss soon, the Cloud boss. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I'm drawing a blank again. But you know, there's the Rain Cloud. If you up B with an ice ability, you can actually freeze it when they start doing the waterfall thing. If you kind of up B on the side of those Rain Cloud bosses. Again, you're gonna see it in a couple bosses in a second here, but up being with the ice ability is very, very good. So typically, you know, if it's any other kind of boss, you know, besides you know, ice or wood bosses, ice or wood bosses, I'll use an ice ability. So that's why I like to have a fire friend and an ice friend, so I can just hold up and then, you know, turn my sword into an ice sword or into a fire sword. I find it works really well. So as you guys can see, I'm doing a lot of up Bs, and I you know, sometimes do spin attacks as well. The spin attacks are very powerful. If you can land them, it's ideal to use them, because they're very powerful if you can connect them, especially with an ice ability or with a fire ability. It's very powerful, especially with the fire ability. But the up B thing you guys see me doing, the thing is, if there's a moment that one of the bosses is standing still and you up B, it kind of creates like an ice pillar for you know, a certain amount of time. And while, you know, while that boss isn't moving, it's doing, you know, continuous damage. It's doing damage over time, basically. So that's kind of why I like those. And then, you know, I like to do like the up B, so create an ice pillar and then slam back down onto it. I like to do that a lot too. So those are kind of, you know, just my methods, I find. For this specific boss right here, you guys seeing on screen, actually, what I did is me and Jameson would go in different levels, and then we would charge up our B attack. And it didn't really work out for me there, as you guys seen, because the bomb ended up following me. But as you guys can see, because I'm with Jameson, he came and revived me. If I wasn't playing with someone, if it was just all computers, I would have been alone. It would have been game over. I would have had to redo all of the bosses from the very start. Now, Jameson goes down. I'm able to revive him. So it's kind of like a team effort in that sense, right? Anyways, so the method on this map, so not this map, this boss fight, is just to charge up your B attack if you're using a sword character, and unleash it when they get close to you. And it does a ton of damage, as you guys see right there. Jameson just used it and it did a ton of damage. It's like I said, if you can land those charge attacks, those spin attacks, it's ideal. Now, one other thing I'm gonna note, you know, is just learn, well, a couple other things. Learn how the bosses, you know, kind of how they act, you know, their behavior, their patterns. Learn those, because you're gonna want to really pay attention, you know, because you're gonna know when to attack. You're gonna know when to, you know, avoid attacking, when to dodge. You're gonna know when to, you know, what kind of attacks to use. You know, their weaknesses. Like, look, this is the cloud one I'm talking about right here. So right here, we just did a bunch of up B attacks, and it just absolutely destroyed. Especially if you guys can do them together, it's even more ideal. That's only the first half of this boss fight. But in the second half, you guys can see it splits into two clouds. But it starts doing the rain thing. So you kind of move off to the side of the rain. As you guys see, I'm trying to do here. You see it's about the rain. You move off the side, and you up B the side to freeze the side of the cloud and part of the waterfall. And eventually, what you guys are going to see is this cloud on the left here is going to freeze only when they're at like half health. When it falls down, we're going to be able to do a bunch of attack and basically a bunch of attacks rather, and basically destroy the last half of their health. Just like that. It's very simple. So these are kind of just the methods I use. Again, you know, you can take it or leave it. That's why, you know, I wanted to bring you guys the gameplay either way, obviously, because, you know, it's an accomplishment for me to have finished this and 100% of the game. But I also wanted to, you know, make this video more useful and try to give you guys, you know, a few tips and tricks as well. Last thing I guess I'm going to say is that, you know, against Francisco, we're using fire abilities because she's ice, and then against I forget the name of the other one, but the fire general, we were using ice. And then against the electric one, we went back to ice again. So, you know, usually I like to use ice in most circumstances, but again, you can alternate back and forth between the two. But the last thing I want to note, I know I just said it like 3 times, but the last thing I do want to note is in the final boss. Pay attention to the final boss once we get there. If you're, I'm not sure how it works if you're solo actually, because I did it with Jameson. But if you're playing together, what you could do is when you're flying on the star ally cloud thing during that sequence of the final boss fight, if you hold down B together with your teammates, and then you kind of count it in, and you all release B at the exact same time, it'll shoot a huge charge of an attack at the boss and does a lot of damage. So if you can connect a lot of those, then you know, that's obviously ideal, because it'll do a ton of damage. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, you can see my gameplay. You know, you can see what me and my son did. You know, how we kind of went about it. You can see, you know, we did die a couple times, but we were able to revive each other, so it wasn't game over. As long as you don't all die at the same time, right? So if you're playing like 2-player like we are, if we both died at the same time, it would be game over. So if only one of you is dying at a time, then you have time to revive. And then the other thing is, obviously, in the main lobby, you guys can see that there's health you can use. So when you grab health, you can run into your allies and then share the health with them. And you know, try to save the health as long as you can. If you can make it through like the first, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 bosses without health, that'd be ideal. You know, as you guys see, we just started using health in the last like 5 boss fights, so that's obviously ideal. But I don't know, those are kind of my tips and tricks. I know this maybe sound a little bit messy. If anything was confusing, you know, just ask whatever questions you have down in the comment section below. You know, I tried to kind of, you know, organize my thoughts as best as I could here, but you know, at the end of it, you just got to really learn how the bosses kind of, you know, behave, and you know, just learn their weaknesses, and you know, obviously avoid attacks as best you can. Like, look at this right here, the up B with the ice sword. Do you see how much damage it did in such little time? Like, we absolutely destroyed this boss. That's what I'm saying. If you can use the sword ability with ice, it's insane. It's almost overpowered, honestly. It's so OP. It doesn't even make sense. It's awesome. So those are my tips and tricks. That's how we did it. You know, maybe you've done it differently. Maybe you know a better way. If you guys do know a better way to get through these, then, you know, share it with the rest of us in the comment section below to help each other out. If you guys enjoy the video, make sure you guys smash the like button, subscribe, comment, share, and all that awesome stuff. Again, I hope my tips and tricks were useful. I'm gonna let you guys watch the rest of this gameplay. This is, like, you know, the most prime part of the gameplay, because it's the hardest last, you know, few bosses, if you will, including the final boss fight, which is the hardest. It was insane. You guys are gonna see once we get there. It's nuts. But yeah, that's the gameplay. Again, if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll do my very best to reply to them and help you guys out further if anything was confusing, or if you know, if there's anything else you want to know about you know, going about this. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap up the commentary here, but the gameplay is gonna continue to the end, so make sure you guys, you know, keep watching if you guys want to see the rest of, you know, the Soul Melter difficulty in the ultimate choice. But that's Kirby Star Allies. I 100%ed it. I might make another video kind of going through a checklist on, you know, how to 100% the game. You don't need to complete all the puzzle pictures. You know, you need to get all the big puzzle pieces, but you don't need to get all the pictures completed themselves. So it's not too hard to 100% it. Maybe I'll do that in a different video. But anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Again, subscribe, comment, share, all that awesome stuff. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss an upload. And again, enjoy the rest of this gameplay. Let me know if you guys have finished this yourselves, and or if, you know, you're planning to, and how you guys are enjoying Kirby Star Allies. I'll catch you guys later, and like always, until next time, game on.